Ready, Jim?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's now 6 o'clock. We'll call City Council to order for Monday, February 24th, 2025. Everybody call this roll.
Renee,
Present.
Longford,
Here.
Kennedy,
Here.
Shields,
Here.
Brandon,
Here.
Simpson.
Here.
Application now will be given by Pastor Eddie Click of Highland Park Baptist Church. Pastor, you come up. Everyone please stand and make stand after the pledge.
Gentlemen, I appreciate y'all letting different pastors come, and again, each council meeting with prayer. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for a council that knows the best way to begin anything that they do is with prayer. And I just pray that your spirit come down upon them tonight as they make decisions that affect the community that they serve. Father, I just pray tonight that they'll seek wisdom from you and do your will in all that they do. And I thank you that we have these men and women who are willing to give their time and energy to serve our community. I just pray you bless this meeting tonight, and every decision will be according to your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
That's Councilman Kennedy, lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Click. Appreciate that. All right, not any changes to the previous minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Brandon, do I have a second?
Second.
Second,
Peter Simpson.
Mr. Simpson. All right, roll call, Mr. Wilson.
Renee,
Aye.
Longford,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Shields,
Aye.
Brandon,
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
I don't have anything for you tonight, in the Fort Strum City Council.
Mayor, I would like to wish a good game to the Lady Panthers and the Panthers. They're playing for the district championship tonight
All right,
and tomorrow, so wish them best of luck.
absolutely.
Awesome.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Make a motion.
Motion from Mr. Shields, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Mayor. Roll call, Mr. Wilson.
Renee,
Aye.
Longford,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Shields, Aye.
Brandon.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
This time, does everyone here like to comment on something on tonight's agenda? If not, we'll go into item number 1, consideration of purchasing committee's recommendation regarding adoption of resolutions amending purchasing policies and procedures, purchasing orders to set the threshold for capitalization and establish language in the purchasing policies and procedures reflecting such. Mr. John Bunch, our finance director.
So basically what this is we would like to increase our purchasing policy threshold from $500 to $1,000. We haven't done that for 10 years. The last time we ever did that, $500 to $250. And then also on the capitalization threshold, I can explain that to you all if you want to know. But that is the level of dollar that we capitalize assets at, so that we don't record assets until it reaches a certain dollar threshold. So we would like to increase that to 5,000 from 1,000.
Okay,
If you have any questions about it, I'll be glad to.
any questions?
What's the benefit in improving the threshold for the capital assets?
Basically, for capitalizing assets, as a city gets bigger, we want to increase that threshold, it becomes cumbersome. Most of the cities comparative to our size have at least a $5,000 threshold. The GFOA recommends a $5,000 threshold as well. We're still 1,000. So, I mean, we're capitalizing a lot of assets, and we have almost $1 million in assets now, so.
Okay, when you say capitalize assets, what are you talking about, things that you report on tax returns for depreciation? Can you plain speak it for me?
So it has no consequence to our city finances. It's basically just for reporting purposes to the state. As far as day-to-day here, our expenditures will be exactly the same. But when we report to the state our financial statements, we have to capitalize assets to them. We have to report differently to them. So it doesn't have any consequence to the city really, it's just for reporting purposes only.
So are the assets still tracked for city purposes? Because
They
we're
are.
talking about a lot of computers.
Purposes, but as far as capitalize them, it's only for reporting purposes in the state, basically. It doesn't have any consequence to the city.
Anyone else? Entertain a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Mr. Kennedy makes a motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. McNabb. Roll call, Ms. Gordon.
McNabb.
Aye.
Wampler.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Shields. Aye.
Simpson.
Brandon.
Aye.
Item 2 is consideration of city council recommendation regarding opening an interest-bearing bank account for purpose of retainage for the public safety training facility. Mr. Bunch. You're up.
What is this?
Or is mine? Okay.
I thought we just got it wrong. I can do it. I can do it.
Okay, either one.
All three of us are on there.
Yeah.
You know, I like to talk.
Yeah.
So basically what this
That's what Ms.
is,
Campbell said.
we, as far as our contract goes, we have to put a certain amount, which is a percentage of the total, cost of the training facility in a retainage account. And that will be maintained by us until the project is completed, and they would not receive their retainage until we signed off that the project was completed and satisfactory. So we check, we normally don't do that, because of the way that we bid this project. So we actually did, reach out to LCB, they do it a lot of their projects. And on the TDOT projects, we don't have to do that either. That's done through the state. So we, set up this bank account, so in order to be compliant, we have to bring it to you guys to get approval to open that bank account.
Okay. Questions?
Is that a two-signature account, or is that one?
Well, there's nothing that will be paid out of that. It'll be just like all of our, it'll just be an additional bank account. So yes, it will still be in line with our current policy. It's just opening up a new bank account.
And that account actually, it's in the name of the contractor, isn't it? Per state law, I mean, you have control over it.
Their
but-
name, yes, but it's our, we have to open it up,
Right.
yes,
I
correct.
understand.
Anyone else? Maggie or Sean, y'all have anything you want to add to that?
No, we're not.
Okay. Entertain a motion?
Wait, I'll just say the retainage is actually a benefit to the city, because what it's doing is taking a percentage of the money that would be paid at draws throughout the construction, and it's withholding that to make sure the job is completed satisfactory. And it's a credit to the city and whoever negotiated the contract that the retainage is in there, because sometimes that's a big point of negotiation.
Okay.
And I move that that be approved.
Okay, Ms. McNabb moves it on the motion that we approve it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Brandon, discussion. Roll call.
McNabb.
Aye.
Wampler.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
Brandon.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Item 3 is consideration of city council regarding adoption of resolution amending section 6.4 of the personnel leave/birthday employment policy and procedures for the federal police department employees who work 12-hour shifts. Chief?
Yeah, so this was just an oversight, so we moved to 12-hour shifts, several months ago. We did it initially on a trial basis. Most of our partnering agencies had already went to 12-hour shifts, and so we decided to test the water. The police officers felt like they wanted to do that. The only thing that we missed was we didn't have a clear definition, because everybody in the city works 8-hour shifts except for the fire department, which we changed theirs years ago, probably a decade or two ago. So we just needed to clear up that language for personal days and birthdays, that it's actually a shift. So they would receive the shift, which equals 12 hours. So we just had to clean up the language.
Okay.
And this change will be made as well as the one in the purchasing policies and procedures manual, and will be redistributed to everyone.
Okay, discussion.
What are the hours for the 12 to 12 shifts now? I mean,
It's 6:45 a.m. to, 5:45 shift change. So it's 6 to 6.
gotcha. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Entertained a motion?
So moved.
Police Commissioner makes a motion, have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Brandon. Roll call, Mr. Wood.
McNabb,
Aye.
Wampler,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Shields,
Aye.
Brandon, Simpson.
Aye.
Item four is consideration of city council regarding payment for vehicles for the police department per state contract, state bid. Chief?
Yes, sir. So we, are going to the, lowest, state bid contract, which is gonna be through Columbia, Tennessee. It's a Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Fiat Columbia. The purchase price is $40,000.
41,604.
41,180.
Is it 41,694, or was it?
I think that's
That
with
looks like
the installation.
Yeah, that's the total.
Oh, there it is, yeah, sorry. I didn't see that. So $41,694 per vehicle. And then also attached to the quote for the three vehicles is the equipment, which, is also a state contract. And for all three vehicles, it's $29,350. And those vehicles are in stock. They kind of came in.
I don't have it here in front of me. Are they Dodges or Fords?
They're Dodges.
Okay. And what company has those?
Columbia, Chrysler Dodge, Jeep, Fiat.
Discussion? Entertained a motion?
I make that motion.
Motion, Mr. Montford, do I have a second?
I second.
Second by the police commissioner, roll call, Mr. Wood.
McNabb,
Aye.
Wampler,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Shields,
Aye.
Brandon,
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Item five is consideration of city council regarding filling vacancy of the police department, Mr. Dante Brown, chief.
Yes, sir, Mayor. We still have one additional, we had two spots open, so we still have one. But Mr. Brown came through the process, and he's a good young man. He currently works for the city of Loudon. He is post-certified. So he passed all his tests and interviewed with flying colors. So it would be our recommendation to offer him a full-time position in the police department.
Okay, Chairman Shields.
Yes, committee met and they approved Mr. Brown for employment. I think he'll make a good asset for the city. He's got a good application, and I think he'll be an asset to Little City.
Mr. Brandon, Mr. Kennedy, y'all have anything with that?
I agree with him. I agree.
I have nothing else to add. It sounds like a great hire. I did have a question for Chiefs. Are we still doing that bonus, hire on bonus for first responders?
That has been sunsetted currently because we finally caught up on both sides. You know, we kind of got ourselves in a position where we had quite a few openings back to back, and the candidate pool was really getting weak, and everybody was in competition in the East Tennessee region. Everybody's needing police officers. So we had to get competitive, which we did. A year and a half or 2 years ago, you guys, ladies, were so generous to give us a higher pay rate to make us very competitive. And then by utilizing that, we did get some good hires out of it. We feel like it's time to sunset that now because we've got two positions available and we've got everybody back healthy. So we're almost back to full staff, so.
Great.
I seen there where, state is going to hire out 100-something troopers, and they still have plenty of openings. Unfortunately, we may have to get more competitive.
That's true. I think they're doing another significant increase in their salary, July 1, 2.
Unbelievable. I wish they'd think about the local governments when they start doing that. All right. Any discussion? Entertained motion.
Motion.
First, Mr. Brandon, second.
I second.
Second by the police commissioner. Roll call, Mr. Wood.
McNabb,
Aye.
Wampler,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Shields,
Aye.
Brandon,
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item number 6, Consideration city council regarding going out for bid for the 24-25 paving contract. JJ?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'd like to have permission to go out to bid this contract paving for the 2024-25 election.
Right.
I'm about done with it, so I'd like to try to get a slot here quick as we can.
And I know as we discussed in purchasing, when you come for purchasing, of course, we talked about Brattle Hall Road, Johnson Circle, Johnson Drive, how important that was, and I know you worked with Billy Pickle, the road superintendent. And, I had a call over the weekend, of course, I told him, spring, it was on plans to pave it in spring.
I think that's on for probably the end of July. So new monies will be set in.
I know Billy has to wait too,
Yes,
but, that's the plan,
yes, sir,
first thing. And it's needed.
very.
What was it you say? It's rough for 2 nights in jail.
That's exactly what it is. Maybe even 3.
Going on my jail again.
That's exactly right.
All right. Discussion.
JJ, is there a way that, and maybe this is a question for Ms. Kelso, that we could share that tentative list of paving projects with the community so that they would know, for example, folks on Browder Hollow, that they're on the list if the funding's there? I think it would just be nice for folks to know, what that money's going for and where they might be on the list.
Yes, we can do that.
We can do that. As soon as we get it set, then we can put it on our website. We could, put it out in various ways.
We need to wait and bid it out, because there may be something that gets shifted or
Right.
changed on it,
Yeah.
but we can do that.
Okay. And I realize that might change through the year, even depending on
Yes.
materials
Oh, yes.
prices and all of that.
Yes.
But
The
just,
budget.
just having that on there with the note subject to change, I think the
Yes.
more information we can share, the better.
Yes, we can do that.
Thank you.
Remember to do that.
All right. Anyone else? Entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Mr. Kennedy makes a motion. Have a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. McDowell. Roll call, Mr. Brooks.
McNabb,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Shields,
Aye.
Brandon,
Aye.
Simpson.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
JJ.
JJ. Appreciate your job you did.
Thank you.
Item 7 is consideration the purchasing committee's recommendation regarding approval of professional services agreement with Jack Southern Company for stormwater services. Mr. Butler.
Yes, we've got a long-standing, working relationship with Jack Southern, and between us and the utilities, he's got all our files. He's really good to work with, we've always stuck with him, and he's, branching away from the company he used to work with, going out on his own, and we'd like to stay like LCP has and stay with him.
Okay. Discussion. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Shields, have a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Kennedy. Roll call, Mr. Brooks.
McNabb,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Shields,
Aye.
Brandon,
Aye.
Simpson.
Item 8 is consideration city council regarding approving the Mr. Christopher Brown for permanent full-time employment, 6 months probation period satisfactory completed, retroactive to February 10th. Mr. Butler.
He's done a good job, well educated. He's already passed one of the tests he had to when he came, and, he'll quickly move through the rest of them.
He is doing a good job.
I've heard from more than one contractor that he doesn't allow them to cut corners. And so that's a good testimony for a building inspector, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Brandon, have a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Kennedy, discussion. Roll call, Mr. Brooks.
McNabb,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Shields,
Aye.
Brandon,
Aye.
Simpson.
Thank you, Rick, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Item number 9 is consideration city council adopting ordinance to amend/adopt sections title 12, building utility etc. code, chapter 4, title 16, streets and sidewalks, chapter 2 and 3, title 18, water and sewers, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, title 19 of the electricity, gas, chapter 2, the ordinance of the city of Little City. This is first reading. We got Mr. Leon Shields, who is going to enlighten us on, everything we need to know about.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, thanks for letting LCUB present tonight on one of the agenda items we need to try to adopt and clean up. I'll give a brief summary here. As we know through previous years, the municipal code that we recognize today as the City of Lenoir City is 1997. Throughout the years, LCUB and the city works together to bring their new adoptions of new policies, programs, and stuff of that nature into and have council approve that. So our last update was 2010. That was added to this. This is currently the city municipal code. This document includes everything from city streets to the police department to Parks and Rec, different applications. This is a relative example of what you as power board members approved just for one department of LCUB. So there's only certain sections in here that you have read out tonight that is covered under the municipal code, and that's ultimately for federal funds when we receive those federal funds for capital projects. This is something you approve as an LCUB power board member of the strict rules and policies and procedures of LCUB. So what we try to do is every so often we try to marry these two together to make sure the old original document of the City of Lenoir City reads concurrent with the new policies and the programs that you have implemented as power board members of the LCUB. So back in July the 25th of 2022, we reached out to Ms. Amber Scott. We sat in a room with the other contributing editors as far as the street department supervisor, the fire chief, the stormwater representative, Ms. Amber, the MTAS representative. And like I say, this is a normal procedure that we do, and what we've done is as you know, when I took over as the department manager, one of the things I really wanted to try to read is all the policies that we were being held accountable for. Example, this document states for the city municipal code that no utility is allowed to be installed in a public street, a right of way, or anything else owned or operated by the city of Lenoir City. But everyone in the room knows that the majority of LCUB's infrastructure sits in an alleyway, public street, under sidewalk, this or that. So we're violating the old municipal code. So what we done was we done a thorough search, and that's why you see us making edits in the street departments, roads, the gas code, and stuff of that nature. Now, I have reached out to the city attorney, Johnson. There are some language that says that TVA does not recognize city officials. It ultimately operates under its own municipality as far as electric provider. But we didn't change any of that or any of that. I think there's still a lot of research to be done legally to see if that's the case. Tonight's codes just basically make this regulate exactly like we have adopted over the past 10 years and kind of merge them together to make sure they read correctly. So in summary, and I'll close out for questions, original 1997 document, we edited it in 2010 with the cross connection program. We're coming back to you as of July the 25th of 2022, but until last Wednesday, I had no knowledge that had not been completed by the city of Lenoir City. So tonight's presentation tonight is actually me following up on something that we were under the impression that LCUB had already been taken care of. So it's actually just a cleanup from 2022. I'll answer any questions you may have.
Questions?
Mr. Shields, is there a reason that this couldn't be, I mean, because I inquired this morning about it, and obviously these are the changes that I was given that were on my seat when I came in of what's referenced in the ordinance. Is there a reason that we couldn't table this for a month, post this, and give people a chance to ask questions? I mean, it's not really an amendment; it's a complete rewrite. And I'm not aware of a document even that would redline it and show what the changes are. It's a brand new text for somebody who's just coming in and looking at it. And I realized I wasn't on the council 2 years ago, but I think that changes that are this wide in scope deserve a chance for the community to at least review them and ask questions.
Yes, ma'am, very good point, Ms. McNabb. My comment would be, you all are our boss at the Power Board of Lenoir City Utilities. You're also our representatives of the city of Lenoir City as ratepayers and as the utility. What I would remind the board to be is this has been reviewed for 3 years. It's also been reviewed by all the department heads, the city administrator, and MTAS. So it's actually been through public review, and I apologize, I should have
addressed it in 2022 when it did get updated, I just found out last week. Where it said, it said on the desk, we need to finalize it. So, can it be tabled? It's kind of been tabled for 3 years. Our request is, we're operating under something else that the board has approved. We're enforcing these rules daily. We have since 2022. We need the municipal code not to be the outline agent that was not updated. So I'll react accordingly, whatever the board would say. I'm happy to do whatever the board pleasure is.
The other question I would have is, I read the ordinance obviously before I inquired about the text. This ordinance doesn't include any of those changes. It doesn't even attach an exhibit saying what the amendments are. So for somebody who looks at this in 3 to 5 years and says this ordinance was passed, there's no detail that would help somebody know what those changes are. And that's a drafting issue or maybe something Mr. Johnson might speak to. But just looking at it, I didn't know what the heck it was talking about, except I knew that there were, obviously gas, streets and sidewalks and that sort of thing included. So, and likewise, it's on the agenda as amending this ordinance, or an ordinance to amend these sections, which doesn't give folks much notice. Even if it was approved in 2022, if I were reading this agenda, I'd still have no idea. And if I were reading the ordinance, I would still be clueless about what the changes are, so.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your comment, and my response would be, Ms. McNabb, is the city has those changes. They are redlined and highlighted. That was submitted in 2022, and
I did send those to her.
today. So, as far as, I'm not the author of the ordinance document. I'm not the author of the municipal code, but I do know our edited changes were redlined and submitted to the city now. The failure to reach out to each of the council members, I apologize. I honestly could have personally took it upon myself to make everyone copies of those red lines, but I was under the impression you'd already been briefed. So I think that's a city of Lenoir City thing, not a LCP thing.
And absolutely, I don't mean to place the blame anywhere, I just.
I take responsibility for this, ma'am.
I mean, I take responsibility ultimately because it was my job to get every department together to make their revisions. And as some departments did or did not function in that, I kept the ones that had done that, and I was waiting to put everything together to get it codified. So that's my failure.
If I could add, Mayor, this is just an edit at this time in the practice. I still think that the municipal code is a working document. I don't know if Mr. Johnson agrees with me, that constantly needs to be reviewed, edited to what everyday policy changes may be. So what we're editing today and making a policy to coincide with the other policies that you've already adopted in the other avenues, I feel like we need to constantly stay on top of making sure all our documents are in the same language.
And let me say this too, this is the first reading to it, and obviously Ms. McNabb, you bring up some good points, and as well as, obviously he wasn't here then, but we can certainly get those documentation to the red line documentation as well for the next.
She's got it.
Well, I opened it and it didn't have the track changes, Amber. I opened the one that was labeled LCUV 2022 and it didn't have.
Well, it was red. It wasn't in track changes, but there were red. It had red all through it in the different sections.
From the draft that I personally conducted in 2022, the red line was the language change, the yellow was deletions.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
So
had
I
red
don't know
and
what
yellow.
document you received, but
But you
I'll
have
be
to,
happy
I
to
sent
share
you the
it.
entire document, and so if you scroll down to the sections that we're talking about here, because I wasn't gonna go in and, take out page by page, because then it wouldn't make sense at all. So I sent you the entire area of the code, and then you can see in there his red lines as well as his yellow for deletions.
The majority of the red line, and I'm sorry I'm taking.
No, that's all right.
The majority of the red lines was changing the language from the city of Lenoir City to Lenoir City Utilities Board. So I would say that, please don't hold me to this, but I'd say 75% of it's just changing the name to Lenoir City Utilities Board. That's just something I caught here in my review of my edit. I've never been looked at before since '97. But as a lot of everyone in the room knows, is I've literally went through every policy we've had to update it, make it compliant, and make it enforceable by the utilities. This is one of the things that we're compliant. You all have assisted us as our board members, and we appreciate that. But we need to make sure the city's reading the same thing with the utilities.
Mayor, I appreciate all the work that Leon's done on this document, and it is first reading. I'll make a motion to be approved on first reading.
Mr. Simpson makes a motion we approve on the first reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shields. Any other discussion?
Do you make any recommendation as far as the way that the ordinance is drafted, as per making reference to the revisions?
Yeah, I think we need to incorporate in the ordinance itself the changes that are being made in the ordinance.
Would you
Can
do
we
it by
attach it?
reference?
Can we attach it?
You can attach it, or you can do it by reference, but you're gonna have to, something has to be in there to say
I
what it
mean, you
is
can
that's
make
being
that
changed.
exhibit A
Right,
and then have this stand as itself,
yes, but, you know.
or the red line as well, I guess.
Yeah, that's when you run into the red line, what is being changed question. It may be,
There's 97 pages.
yeah.
But it still needs
Now,
to be
let me
listed.
say, just, as we sit here and I think about this, it may be to do the entire, get the ordinance as it exists with the changes, and then approve the ordinance in entirety.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, may add two things. One, if anyone has any questions that you'd like for me to personally answer, I'll be happy to accommodate any of it. Just reach out to me. I think all of you have my contact information. And back to Mr. Johnson's comments, there's still things in the municipal code that needs to be updated. I think Ms. Scott can go to that. So tonight's approval or LCB's portion of the municipal code does not finalize the final document. It's only our portion that we're enforcing today, and we need, we request the city help us clean up on the city's portion.
Just like we updated the building codes
Yes,
to the new code, this is much the same. You know, we kind of separated that out of the codification process
Right.
for that reason, because it needed to be done. This is the same. This is only to approve LCB's portion.
And the resolution needs to reference the changes or attach it with the two or both.
Mr. Mayor, if I can
Yeah.
add, like say for example, streets or sidewalks. Mr. Cox may make edits and within his parameters of what he needs, and the council may do that, but we have only edited the LCB portion of the streets and sidewalks. So you may still have to readdress, but we're just here to try to fix the LCB portion.
So really, a completely restated version might not be appropriate if the portion about streets might still need to be adjusted, if that's something that you didn't change, that JJ or somebody else might need to look at.
It would be outside of our responsibility or our review, but I think the document, even though you change it today, it's gonna have to be edited 6 months from now or next year, because every year we change policies.
It's a living document, right?
I'm sorry,
It's
sir.
a living document.
Well, the code in and of itself
It's always
has had about,
Right.
40 ordinances added to it.
Now, what we've done in
In 2
LCD,
years.
and this is not necessarily to say we work on this, but we update our policies annually now. That's our policy. So every year, we have the board review our policy and approve it. So that way, every 12 months, we're staying on top of it. We didn't do that in the past, but we do that currently.
Mr. Chairman, call for question.
Question's been called, motion second's been adopted. Roll call, Mr. Booker. Cuts off all discussion.
McNabb,
No.
Wampler,
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
Brandon.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor.
Leon, if I can ask you one other thing before you leave there. It's just not on the agenda, but I want to ask you about it, because I've had one or two comments, and there's a lot of misleading information out there with some county officials that's been put out, typical for them, but anyhow. Let me ask you about a letter that went out to all the water users. And can you touch just, and I've done it simply because I know the news media is here, and hopefully the news server will follow this and follow up on it when they see the broadcast of it, but and they may be watching tonight, but the letter that went out dealing with the water issues and what exactly that meant. There's some discussion out there that that's misleading, I just want to get your take on it.
Yes, sir. If you're talking about the alternate irrigation day policy, to remind the ones of you that sit on the Little City Power Board, last year we adopted the Power Board adopted a policy in which we were going to start trying to get better at water conservation. If I can give just a brief summary, in the early days of 1961 and 1958, when the plants and the different structures were built, irrigation systems weren't necessarily known. So the infrastructure of LCD or any other utility wasn't necessarily built to water lawns, it was ultimately for domestic use. And through the years, other utilities have adopted a water conservation policy called the alternate irrigation day policy. And ultimately what that says is it's not restricted for people to use any domestic water. It's only for the customers that have permanent installed irrigation systems. And what that requests customers to do is to follow an alternate address irrigation day. So that way, if each of you were neighbors, you would water on one day, the neighbor would water on the other. And what that does is, long term, does 2 or 3 things. It conserves the water that we take out of the streams. It also conserves the water that may be in runoff and stormwater systems that stormwater programs would have to see, or different cities. It would create erosion in the yards and through the structures. But the biggest thing it does is it eliminates Little City utilities and other utilities from having to spend large funding for infrastructure improvement just to run irrigation systems. From 5 a.m. to about 7 a.m., everyone wants to water their lawn at each time. And who would have thought in the early 60s and 70s that people would spend $2,000 and $3,000 to irrigate their grass, and their water bill for the house would be $40. So we are one of the last utilities probably in the Tennessee region that has enforced this. So our neighboring utilities like Watts Bar and First Utility, I'd have to look at the list to be accurate, not mislead you, but other utilities have already done this many years ago. So we are partnering our program from the First Utility, although we're not partnered in the thing, we mirrored ours because a lot of the old customers were Martell and the First Utility District area that we took over. So our policy reads exactly like the First Utility District was. So what it does is the Power Board members last year approved the policy. We had a lot of conversation, if you all remember, went through that, and ultimately it just I requested personally that we hold off until January, so that way we would have the time to talk to the landscape companies, the irrigation companies, and the homeowners, so that way when they de-winterized in March and April to start their irrigation systems, those irrigation systems could set their timers appropriately with the program. We felt like if we'd done it late in the fall last year, it would create a lot of confusion, and what we would have had was people would have been setting the timers and abiding by a policy that, if you remember, I requested to hold off until this year. And that's just for public notification, awareness. Now, the letters were dated January the 1st, but that's just when the new policy was. Most people, the LCUB has a policy, if you don't know, that we unlock irrigation meters in the month of March free of charge, and then we close them back off at free of charge in October. So that's no charge to the customer, that's a customer service relation thing we've done for many years. So most of those meters won't even be active until the month of March. So that letter is sent out by our backflow management company, TUA, Tennessee Utility Association. And from the time we sent that letter in December, we drafted it, everything else got approved. I've noticed it's just now started hitting mailboxes in the month of February now. We're still early in the sense. We've reached out to plumbing contractors we know that take care of irrigations. We're still in the process of reaching out to the others. But it's really a water conservation. And it's ultimately in the year's future to eliminate high rates and high cost infrastructure that the Little City Utilities Board would have to do just to throw water on the groundwater grass. So our primary focus is domestic. Secondary is fire protection with the City of Lenoir City Fire Department, the county, and then the third would be irrigation. Now, it's been written in our drought policy for many, many years in dry seasons. DC Lee Utility, Martell Utility, and Lenoir City Utility has always had the policy that we could go out and cut off any lawn sprinkler at any time during a drought season to save water. We've never done that as a public utility, so this is one more measure to where that has always been the policy since my early days in '91,
This is just a policy to be a little more diplomatic and try to roll out that customer service base and still keep the financial institution of the utilities and the infrastructure line.
Well, I'm sorry that the misleading information's out there, but you know how it is. But that's all I'll say about it, but I did want to know because somebody had asked me about it and they felt like it was misleading as well, but anyhow, I said, well, I'm gonna be talking this late tonight.
As we know, sir, Mr. Mayor, a lot of that is misinformation. A lot of it is only the first few lines and then assume the rest. It's very basic. We've always had policies like this. This is just something to try to marry it together to make it a little more, not so impactful financially, or when they're taking a shower, their neighbor can't take a shower because all the water's going out. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Shields, you mentioned something right there at the end.
Yes, ma'am.
So is this a capacity issue, or is this, because what you're saying about the neighbor not being able to shower while somebody's watering their lawn, I mean, that does sound like a capacity issue rather than just conserving water.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Very good question. Capacity issue could do the same when the city block downtown was on fire. The LCB tanks were dry. We had to activate the water plant immediately just to fight the fire on town, and everyone on Fifth Avenue didn't have water. Again, the LCB 1950 and 1960 infrastructure was never built for 4 fire hydrants to flow wide open for 3 days. So capacity-wise, you know, we could sit and have a lot of different conversations as far as capacity. The infrastructure we have at LCB is set for domestic use for the developments that we have. We still have growing room in those areas. However, they weren't factored for the block fire. They weren't factored for the line blowout at St. Thomas Way and Highland Circle's out of water. So capacity is a word to where it could really be defined in different ways. LCB's requirement is by the state regulations that we have 24-hour storage, and we have that and then some. When you start having fires, multiple fire hydrants, downtown, we're at the Downtown Street Festival where we're open fire hydrants, let kids, play in it, or if we're on, for irrigating the lawn. It's all demand on a system that's not designed to irrigate the lawns, it's for domestic use.
But it is manageable, just like we're trying to do with irrigation.
Correct.
It is manageable.
Just like in the fire system, like I told you on the city block, we have parameters in place now to where if that fire happens, the fire chief calls me directly, we activate all booster stations to keep that from happening ever again. Just like this on irrigations, we're creating a practice, and let me remind, this is something that the Power Board passed last year. So most of you have already seen this, seen the numbers and seen the dynamics, and this is just an implementation, not from me personally, but from the Power Board and the utilities. So very good question, but capacity is argumentative, depends on what factor you're trying to play into. Yes, ma'am.
And this is only irrigation accounts, this
Yes,
is
ma'am.
not the regular household account. So if somebody's paying the water and sewer out of the regular household account to water their lawn, that's not affected, just if you have a separate meter for the irrigation.
It is regulated for people that have a permanently installed irrigation system regardless of what meter you're on.
Okay.
Yes. So it's commercial business, residential, all of that. So, the majority of our irrigation systems are commercial. Now everyone thinks of the residentials, but our commercial businesses, Odessa, the Cove, different places, Bojangles, and I'm not trying to alienate different individuals, but a lot of those companies have irrigation systems. Majority of 99% of them do.
Okay, so for the households though, do they have to just have irrigation or a sprinkler, or do they have to have a separate irrigation meter for the
Permanently
supply?
installed irrigation system, doesn't have any relation to the meter.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you, I appreciate the clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good discussion. Madam City Administrator.
No, sir, I don't have anything, but thank you.
All right, just now, anyone here like to discuss something not on tonight's agenda?
I have something I'd like to bring up.
Go ahead, Mr. Kent.
I'm concerned, and this has gone back several months, but as the council knows, there is a lawsuit that's going on with Loudoun County. And we'd inquired, I believe Mrs. Hunter had inquired at a meeting about legal fees for that. At the time, Mr. Jones was here and said that he doesn't bill until the end of the litigation. As I understand it, that litigation's been going on for 2+ years, and the city's yet to receive a legal bill. So and obviously, I can't make a motion, but I would like to see if we can put it on the agenda for sometime in the future, in the next couple of months, that the city asked Mr. Jones to submit a bill of work performed so that the city can pay that, and that we're not passing legal bills for multiple years down the road until, some point in the future, because there's not an attorney fee clause or any way for the city to recover those legal fees from Loudoun County, even if we're successful. So what we're doing is creating an invisible legal bill that's gonna come due at some point in the future and be substantial.
Yeah, I know, I don't think his bill will certainly be much as Loudoun County, so I think they've paid out $70,000 to $300,000. And of course, it's not, we're still working on a motion on it, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, well, no, I believe we had a couple of orders came down this week. We have a court date June the 4th, so. we'll see.
But it's in appeals as far as the
And we
motion.
got the motion for interlocutory appeal is, I don't think it's been filed yet, but it just goes to the Court of Appeals.
As she said, obviously, we can't add it to the agenda tonight under the new rules, is my understanding, is that right, Mr. Johnson?
I'm sorry.
Is it proper to add something to the agenda after the agenda's been set, or is it?
For a future date, sure, we can.
For future dates, but not tonight, correct?
Right.
Okay, does any of the city council members have any consensus, or, is that something that you would want to see on the agenda? Speak now for Coach Peace.
I object, I think let it work its way out.
Okay. Got 1 for, 1 against.
Does that mean it's gonna be free after it works its way up, Mr. Simpson? The attorney fees are still being accrued. That's my concern, is that if we wait and we have 4 years worth of attorney fees, that's not in the budget for the city. Why are we not paying our bills as they come due so that we can keep our budget balanced?
Well, we've always had a balanced budget. I mean, we have reserves that will, unfortunately, that's where the fees will come from after it's all said and done with, whether it be this council and mayor or a future council and mayor. It's sad that, it's been said that, and I won't repeat this again because I've said it many, many times, I offered the county a out, and I hope some of us listening. Mr. Dan Smith, who owns the adjoining property, that's also in question, who, by the way, in 2013, 14, somewhere along in there, the city planner at the time, who had the authority to signed off with the Ross Harris family and said this property, along with some other stipulations, but this property could be annexed by the city of Lenoir City if ever requested by the Ross Harris family or their heirs. That's what the city went by, is that agreement. It was signed off on by the chancellor at the time, Chancellor Williams, and that lawsuit was settled. It was over eminent domain, dealing with a water tank issue that the Lenoir City Utilities needed to serve the citizens in the county as well as in the city in that area. So that lawsuit was signed off on by a county employee, a county planner at the time, and nobody wants to seem to listen to that. It's certainly not the county. Mr. Dan Smith calls me up and says, Mayor, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to do anything with my property. I just wanted it inside the city because I felt like it would be valuable to my family if I'm dead and gone. But you can de-annex it if you want to. I relayed that to the county mayor, and y'all drop the other. And please, if you have any conversations with anybody, please pass that on. I think city council would entertain that. And I'm assuming that's still on the table by Mr. Smith. I would have to contact him, but de-annex that, leave the other alone. It's been inside the city limits for almost 5 years. You're a county employee, a Loudoun County planner at the time, and they know who it is. I won't call his name. I won't try to embarrass him. signed off on it, said this property to be annexed. It was signed off on by the judge, and what are we fighting over? But, it seems like that they want to spend, and certainly they could do a whole lot more with that $300,000 that they spent or close to it. But, as you know, there's one commissioner down there with hell would freeze over before he would, do anything. But, anyhow, that's the story. Certainly I'm here, you tell me, I heard one day, and I like to poll the council, if you want me to put that on the agenda and discuss it further. You've heard what Mr. McNabb said, you heard what Mr. Simpson said, somebody speak up and tell me, Ms. Walker, how do you feel?
I would rather wait at least until the June hearing.
Okay, Mr. Kennedy?
I'm unclear on what exactly is being asked to be put on the agenda. Is it?
I think she wants to ask Mr. Jones, basically for his bill, this one, is that right, Mr.
Yeah,
McNabb?
absolutely. I mean, I bill my clients every month. There's no lawsuit that I would ever wait and send a bill at the end, especially when we're talking about multi-year litigation. And Mr. Jones did indicate in the last hearing that I listened in on, that if the case was not resolved on appeal, that all of the parties would need a war pension to get through trial. So we are talking about significant money, and I feel like we need to, at least, even if we can't get him to bill on a monthly basis, which is normal, then I feel like we need to know what's been spent in the last 2 years and get that squared away.
And I agree with you, it's gonna be costly. And city council, at the time, everybody was here, everybody agrees it's gonna be costly. But, I don't think that we ought to be, and look, I tried everything to keep the lawsuit being filed. I talked to, most of the commissioners. I had people, if I didn't talk to them, maybe another council person talked with them. We've tried everything in the world. It's when, and I made this statement, I'm gonna make it again. When governments start suing governments, there's no winners and the losers are the taxpayers. And that's the way it'll be, that's the way it is now. And you know, I don't know, you know, short of de-annexing the other, which I think would bring on another lawsuit, because that agreement's out there, signed off on by the Chancery Court of Loudoun County. Short of doing that, I don't know if they'll ever drop it or not, but anyhow, that's out there, and it's out there again, and so, I don't know what else to do.
Well, I just want the city to know what we're spending. I mean, I wanna know what we're spending, because otherwise it's gonna be a sizable amount, and, you know, Mr. Johnson can probably, concur with this, but, one of the large, inducements to settle a case involves how much we've spent and how much more we might have to spend to get to a final judgment. And so without the city being aware of what's been spent and what might still be in the future, you know, I think we're doing ourselves and our citizens a disservice.
Well, I'll remind you, we're not the one that filed it. And reminding you and the citizens again, that, that agreement was out there, and that settlement agreement was out there was it 2014? Is that when it was?
I think it was actually 2007 was when they did that.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I mean, you know, when you got a written agreement signed off on by the county employee that had the authority to say, yes, we concur, this property can be annexed if ever requested, signed off on by the chancellor. And it was settled between LCUB and the Ross Harris family. What did you do? And then we did file a lawsuit. So.
The problem is we're still paying, whether,
Well,
you know, right or wrong, there's still a bill that's running.
Mr. Shields, Mr. Brandon, I know what Mr. Simpson said. Just tell me briefly here, yea or nay, do you want it on the agenda or not? For next time, okay.
I would just say, I would like to know ballpark where we stand with Mr. Jones. I don't think it needs to be on the agenda.
Okay.
I mean, if he's not submitted a bill.
I won't put it on the agendas, but I will, try to get a dollar amount, how's that? And send it to you.
I think having the information would be good.
Okay, all right. Anyone else? Any other business? Have motion to pay the bills.
Make that motion, all bills to be paid when properly approved and the funds are available.
Vice Mayor makes a motion to pay the bills, have a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. McDowell, roll call, please.
Lenoir,
Aye.
Wonders,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Shields,
Aye.
Randall, Simpson.
Aye.
If you know further business, have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion, Mr. Adjourn by Mr. Kennedy, have a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Brandon, Mr. Shields, Wilbur, roll call.
Lenoir,
Aye.
Wonders,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Shields,
Aye.
Randall, Simpson.
Aye.
We're adjourned, thank you all.
Why do you say that?
And I did send an email to Zach, to make a list of all the property that we have, that's being used for this. And there's gonna be some discussion about acquiring more, we have to know what it's gonna be, what they're envisioning it to be.
I will. Yeah.
We're looking at March 10th. I'm still just donations, they put donations every time they have these hotels.
In the meantime, we could edit so much. See, maybe we're gonna be around the other side of the lake. Until we got everybody else together. That's how we're driving, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm part of it, right? Well, yeah.
The strange thing is, Calvary is not actually sponsoring. Yeah, well, I called, because I called the church to try to talk to somebody very early on.
Yeah, they're kind of hands off.
And, oh yeah, she was like, that is really cool. Well, now that I know that there's color coding, and because they're not scrolling, but it's, hundreds of pages. No, it's fine.
Next time.
It's just, it's a timing issue partly, because, I have a job, so I can't, even when I email it, if I get it in the morning, I still can't read through, 100 pages and 100 pages.
I said I gotta go see Jim for a while.
I appreciate it. Thank you, yeah, the secretary was like, that was not program. I'm like, they said, yeah, but that's not.